You are now tuned into Daily Discussions with Dena. Join in the discussion right here, Monday through Friday at 12:30 p.m.
Welcome to your daily discussions with Dena. Just a reminder, this is a grown folk conversation and it requires a level of maturity and the ability to comprehend, process, and express your response civilly. Okay, let's get into it. Here is some information that I found very interesting and something I can get behind. And that is an article that I read that stated that the United States is considering the DeTransitioner Bill of Rights. It is being considered as a model legislation proposed by medical nonprofit Do Not Harm. The blueprint was written in order to address the many teens who have openly admitted that they wish that they would not have transitioned from their biological gender. The legislation would effectively provide assistance to individuals seeking a transition, bring lawsuits against those who pressured them into the mutilation of their bodies. Medical professionals should publicly acknowledge the plight of detransitioners and research ways in which to help and support those who regret undergoing those procedures. And this is what Dr. Stanley Goldfarb of Do Not Harm stated. A crucial step, he said, in protecting the rights and well being of children who have been subjected to experimental sex change treatments. Now, the legislation sheds light on the multitude of consequences that come from transitioning, affirming that states have a compelling government interest in protecting the health and safety of its citizens, especially vulnerable children and adolescents. We seem to forget that these are simply our babies. These are children. And I totally agree with this analysis, and I will most certainly show support for this particular bill. And any parent or adult in their right minds who understands the overwhelming agenda that is out here, that has been promoted and is being promoted, and many times it is being encouraged to the youth of today, would also have to agree and understand the need for such legislation. The article written by Carver Malone is on analyzing America. And it further states that any healthcare professional or physician who provides a minor with a gender transition procedure is strictly liable to that minor if there needs to be treatment. Treatment results in any injury, including physical, psychological, emotional, or physiological harm within the next 25 years. And that is how the model legislation reads, and it should. It is very much needed because any parent, as I've said before, in the right mind, of course, knows and understands, have just been around children or have the ability to observe children. You cannot deny that children are not equipped at an early age to even make such of a drastic decision for themselves when it comes to sexuality. And it really makes no sense to even offer, even allow these immature minds, they're undeveloped, underdeveloped bodies, and not fully aware. These are juveniles. And you trying to give them the ability to make such a drastic decision that will affect them for life, that can cause them mental harm or physical harm or psychological harm later on in life, this is wrong. And this can come back later. And this is why this bill is important, because they will have, some may have problem later or the rest of their lives. So you don't allow children to make something, a decision as drastic as this. It's life altering. And they should be held accountable if they are encouraging this, encouraging young people to pursue this. What happened to protecting our youth? Hell, my little man just wanted to be a Sonic the Hedgehog yesterday. Before that, it was Iron Man and T'Challa. He's constantly changing his mind, and that's a 5-year old, a 7-year old, a 13-year old. They're all in this group. So, why would you give them such a big decision to make that will affect them the rest of their lives? They have an infantile nature. So, how do you expect these young ones to make adult decisions? I've always felt this to be wrong and taking advantage of their lack of knowledge. But I further believe that the people that promote this to children, they have bigger issues themselves, and they may even have this underlying thing that they're involved in by promoting this. That's my personal opinion, of course, but there is no doubt that these children are not mature enough mentally to take on the task of deciding something as an adult as their sexuality and to destroy a part of their body. They just are not, regardless of what any impractical adult may think, suggest, or have to say about it. Let children be children. They are innocent children. Let them be free of adults' sensual and erotic sensibilities and thoughts. We have adults taking away children's childhood and rushing them off to carve up their bodies. Why? Sex and sexuality. They have time to get to that point. Let them be children. It is not for their best interest, because if it was in the child's best interest, one would hope and help that person to be developed and get to a point where they're able and capable of understanding the particulars, the ramifications of their decisions, their actions, and the factors involved in such a big decision and how it will completely change their lives. Let children be children. Children are little sponges, and most of their knowledge is learned from their environment and what they are exposed to, whether it be in the home, outside the home, some person, TV, media, and even suggestive conversations or propaganda and fads can affect children. So, why should a child even concern him or herself with sexuality? These are children, for God's sake. And since we have adults that have questionable reasoning for even condoning such procedures in the first place, we should question any adult that think this is okay to give children the ability or the right to mutilate themselves. We should question that person. They need to be held responsible for their actions, especially since a decision like this will have a lifelong effect on that child, that individual, way beyond childhood. And the effect is not just physical, it becomes mental, even spiritual, and psychologically, it can ruin them for life. That decision should not be left up to a child or a minor to make. Now, Chloe Cole, who is a detransitioner, she travels and she speaks on this issue. And she stated, I couldn't be more grateful for the 22 states that have banned or restricted gender transition procedures for minors. I've testified in many state legislatures, and I hope more states will act. Yet, many state lawmakers have also asked me what the next step is. My answer is simple. Now it's time to protect the rights of detransitioners like me and countless others who've had their bodies altered and their lives ruined. Now, the DeTransitioners Bill of Rights is a significant step towards helping young people who've been funneled toward treatments that can lead to lifelong suffering. Do No Harm Executive Director Christina Rasmussen Press. We cannot remain passive while the well being and the rights of children are at risk. Finally, thank you so much for speaking out. Finally, there are people with the courage to stand up, to speak up, and attempt to hold others who are not able to comprehend that these are children and they have the right, they should have the right to be children and free from any such decisions or agendas. And these are conveyors of alternative lifestyles to children. We should hold them accountable. So I am giving you kudos and a big shout out to all of you that support this bill. Now tell me what you think about this. Be sure to subscribe and leave me your comment on this discussion. And join me next time for a daily discussion with Dena. Ta-ta!
This concludes the Daily Discussions with Dena. Join us Monday through Friday at 12:30 p.m. Like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment.